Hello, U.S. History students, and welcome to your video directions for the Unit 7 CR. We're going to go over these directions with you in a video format because Mrs. Force and I are both out at PSSA testing, so we hope this will help you out. To access everything that you need for the CR for Unit 7, you need to go into your course and click on the Content tab. Once you click on your Content tab, you will be able to come down to Unit 7. When you click here, you'll see Week 15, and then we are on Wednesday, May 3rd. You'll notice that in the title for this, you'll see Unit 7 CR info, and when you click on it, it will bring you up to the top here. It'll say Constructed Response. It will give you some general directions, letting you know that this is and goes along with the Unit 7 test that will be in Linkit. This is the rubric that we will be using to grade your response. And we mentioned that the test will be available in Linkit on Thursday, May 4th. The information for the rest of the test for Unit 7 will also be in the May 4th folder. The Unit 7 test review information and how to access the test and link it will all be in here, but all your CR information is in here. For today, to show you some of the information in the course and what you have available to you within this module, you'll find the CR direction slides. I will move the video directions up to the top here. What you're watching right now will be embedded into the course, and you can view these directions anytime you need them. There will be a CR prompt where you can write your actual response of the CR document to prepare yourself for putting this into Linkit, so you have a place to save it to your computer. Okay, so this has the prompt, this has the foreign policy spectrum that you're going to be using to write your response. It has everything that you need in order to write your initial portion of your response and get it into Linkit. You do not want to be writing while you are in Linkit, just opening it up and trying to write it on the fly. That is not the way to go through it. So you want to make sure that you're preparing your response ahead of time. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the screen here. And if we were in class, we would have a warm-up talking about some common tips and tricks to make sure you have a great response for your CR. Because we're not in class together, I'll share a couple of things that other students have mentioned in the past, such as creating an outline, making sure to have the time to put together your thoughts in a rough draft, reading it out loud to yourself, reading it over for editing, and also giving the time for maybe somebody else to read it over as well. Okay, so those are some really good suggestions. Also making sure that you're using what you are provided in the course and not any external information, because that will not count as evidence in your response. So today's objective really is to give you a chance to go through the directions using this video so that you can accurately respond to the CR prompt and answer it using the race strategy or the hamburger model that we've used in the past for our graphic organizers. This is going to give you the directions that you need to proceed and answer the CR. When you go into your course, as we mentioned before, in the Wednesday, May 3rd folder, you'll find all of these items listed here as an available way for you to look at all the materials that you need. It will be housed in Wednesday, May 3rd's folder in the course. The prompt is there again for you, but the prompt is through these direction slides all the way through. And if you follow these slides step by step, you should be able to accurately answer your CR. So we've broken this down step by step. And the focus of these step-by-step slides is really based on the race model. So we have slides that allow you to have a space to work for restating your question, answering the question, citing the source, and explaining. So the first thing that we want to do is make sure that we take the time to identify the three actions that you are going to be asked to do for your constructed response. So if you would like to, you can pause the video or you can just look at what we've outlined here. With the prompt, I'll read through it and we can stop and go through each particular action and identify it together. So your constructed response for Unit 7 will say, in Unit 7, we have discussed 4 types of policies on the foreign policy spectrum. First, choose one of the policy types above, which will be in the foreign policy spectrum. You'll see this right here. So that's what they're talking about as being above. And define it. Okay, so define is the first action. Okay, define is the first action that you are going to be taking. Then it says, second, identify the U.S. history event from this unit and explain how that event demonstrates the policy type that you chose. So the second one is explain. And then the last part is then assess the impact on our relations with other nations and use evidence from the provided text and live sessions to write at least one well-developed paragraph. So the last one is to assess. So you have to define, explain, and assess. Let's take a look at exactly what you are defining and explaining and assessing. So if we were to go through and try to answer the questions, the first thing you want to do is restate the prompt. You want to restate the questions. So if you're going to create an introductory sentence, you want to make sure it's connected exactly to what the prompt is asking for. Make it very directed. We give you the prompt here, along with the cues on the previous slide, and a place to put your first introductory sentence. If you don't want to write this until after you've accumulated some of your information, you can do that. But starting to use the prompt to help you restate that first intro sentence is a really, really big help. Once you get into answering the actual question, you're going to use the prompt to go back and figure out, okay, what actions do I have to do? My first action was to define. To define what? So we have to identify which foreign policy type you're going to choose first. So remember, it said choose in the prompt. It says to first choose one of the policy types. So you could choose isolationism, collective security, internationalism, and imperialism. What you're attempting to do here is show which one of these foreign policy styles you think has been best for the United States and explain that. So you are going to choose one of these. Now, let's say I chose collective security, just as an example. You would then want to go in and define collective security, explain what it is. You do not want to directly use the definition that we gave you in class. You could use this as a base, but you need to put it in your own words. You have to explain it in your own words. Once you've chosen your foreign policy spectrum strategy and you've defined it, then what you are going to do is the next part of answering the question. These first two parts, if you want a space to write out your responses for that, there has been a slide provided. The next part of the answer that you need to do is you need to actually choose an event that we discussed in Unit 7 and use the details about that to explain how the U.S. acted according to the foreign policy type you chose. So if I use collective security, what I would do is use the timeline that you're given and try to figure out, okay, which of these events would have been considered collective security. I would choose that event or events, and I would give details about it. I would explain how that event was acting as collective security, if that is my example, and was an example of collective security in U.S. history. And then I would have to explain how that event and policy impacted our relations with other nations and involved other nations in general. So you're doing several things here. You're choosing your foreign policy spectrum strategy, either isolationism, collective security, internationalism, or imperialism. You're then defining that, and then you're choosing one of the events on our timeline in order to give details about that event and show how it is an example of whatever you chose, whether it was collective security or isolationism, whatever your choice was. Okay, so the two graphic organizers that are probably going to help you out the most in answering the question are this one here and this one here. You do want to make sure that whatever event you're choosing in order to lay this all out, it is from Unit 7. It must be from Unit 7. If it is any event other than what is up here, it will not be accepted. And if it is information that we didn't go over in class, it will not be accepted. It has to be directed towards what our focus was in class. Okay, so once you've put this together, there is that spot there in the slides to answer your question. You can put that information there, or you can just simply write it on the prompt document that we gave you if you want to. We still have graphic organizers talking about the importance of and how to use outlining. And there also is a writing resource section of your course under the table of contents, under course materials. You'll see writing resources that will include a correcting and proofreading checklist, the hamburger paragraph writing model that we have used in the past and is right over here. That's the hamburger model one that's in there. And then the informative writing graphic organizer as well. Okay. So we want to make sure that you have all that at your disposal. Remember that an outline can help you quickly put your ideas together in the order that you want them, and then you can take those ideas and expand them into full sentences. It helps take a lot of stress off of what you need to answer or put where, and allows you to make significant progress in how you're going to answer before the stress comes of actually writing it out. And that will make it far easier and less stressful to actually create a written response in total. Okay. Now, the ultimate end of all of this should be you being able to tell us where you got your information as well. You have to give the evidence, but then you also have to state where you got it. You should not be giving information from any kind of external source. You must be saying according to the text and tell us where you got it. In this live session, tell us which live session. According to my notes on my study guide for, April 20th lesson, whatever. You have to specifically state where you're getting your information, and finding that information is probably easiest by using your study guide. So if you are choosing, for example, a topic of collective security, and you decide to use the Korean War as an example, you need to go to your study guide that includes questions on the Korean War. And once you are there, you can look and see what day did we go over the Korean War, what live session was that, and what textbook pages, so that you can refer to both. That is the best way and quickest way to find your information. The rubric for the CR is both in the folder for May 3rd and it is also just in that at the top description part of that folder, but we put it in here as well so that you can always see how you're going to be graded. This is the best way to check and make sure that you have everything listed. We give you a checklist. Did you define one of the 4 policies? You chose one and defined it. Did you explain an event from U.S. history that demonstrates that policy? And did you assess how that event and policy impacted our relations with other nations? Okay. How are you feeling about this at this point? Probably pause the video, stop and reflect to see if you have any questions, jot them down, email us since we're out of the office. You'll probably need to email, but make sure that you're going through and watching this in detail. Please do not contact us with questions simply saying, I don't know what to do. Make sure that you're going through all the slides, you've read through the prompt, you are pausing the video and generating some specific questions to ask us in any emails that you might have. All right, so for today, you're watching the video and getting the overview of the directions for the CR. For tomorrow, we will be together in live sessions on Thursday, May 4th, and we'll be reviewing for the multiple choice section of the test. We will not be going over much of the CR information at that time. I'll probably just do a general quick glance over and reminder to watch the video and to follow up with any questions that you have. Friday, we'll be out of the office again and back at PSSA testing. So the test will open after review sessions on Thursday, and technically Friday is your official work day for the test, and it is due. Okay. Week 14 checkpoints will lock on the 7th. That is your schedule. If you have any other questions, make sure you're going back through this recording carefully to listen in. Good luck on your CR.